Café Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast here at Café Anyway, somewhere in PodCastro Valley, the last place on earth. It's episode 2000.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
708, 2708. Mike Matthews ain't that great. I like to eat, so I'm talking to you as I like to stand on my feet when I do my podcast, but I'm not. Today I'm sitting on my seat, and that's all right. And that's the end of that song. It's the show.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And that's the name of it. And I think that's pretty much it. Yep. Okay, let's move on with the podcast. So what?
Mike's
Oh no, that
Daily
choir sings.
Podcast.
That beautiful choir sings.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on with the podcast now. Hey, I'm really getting sick of this thing that's been going on for a while, but you really notice it in the Bay Area, and that is people sitting in their cars with their I don't like it. It's bizarre. I know there's like a place in Sacramento where you can actually live in your car, and there are showers you can use, and you just live in your car. No. What do you do? No. But Mike, some people don't have it so good. You gotta show a little empathy. But yes, I do. But if you're living in a car, you need to somehow make some kind of stride to get out of that situation. Anything, it's not good. Wow, sitting in your car. Wasn't there a movie called Sitting in Cars with Boys with the Drew Barrymore? I think so. But Café Anyway. What is annoying is at night when these people are sitting in their cars and they'll just park right out in front of wherever you live. Let's say they park in front of my house and sit there with their headlights on, and you're trying to go.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Hey, turn down whatever it is you're listening to. The podcast picture is not of that, though. It's of, what if I have? It's going to be good. Oh, yes, from this past weekend when I was in Richmond and we were checking out Rosie the River and stuff. I'll pick a picture from that. See it at mikesdailypodcast.com. In fact, I once walked with the late, great Basil the Boxer around there. We did. Gosh, we went from Point Isabel all the way to Rosie the Riveter. That was a long walk that day. He did really well. And I guess I did too, because I kept up with him. But what it is, here's the thing. You're walking along on the sidewalk and somebody's got their headlights shining in your eyes and they're just parked there on the side of the road. I don't get why. I guess when I was younger, I commuted from Oxnard up to Santa Barbara to UCSB 3 times a week. And I remember spending a lot of time in my car because where else was I going to go? But I got tired of that pretty quick.
This show is clean.
A lot of people spending too much time in their cars in California.
Pretty much.
From what I have seen. And that's why I shared it with you today. So we had recently, last weekend, the Meet on the Street thing. And we don't call it that anymore. It is the Castro Valley Parade of Lights, not to be confused with the...
Hi there.
Oh.
It's currently 7:30 p.m.
Shh, don't say that. Don't give away the time I'm doing this. Wait, what? How could it be 7? Anyway, Café Anyway. Disneyland has the Parade of Lights. It was one of the coolest songs when I was a kid because it was so electronic and happy and joyful and Disney-esque. That song to the Parade of Lights. But PodCastro Valley does their own Parade of Lights, and they actually had a float that had the logo from Disney's Parade of Lights, which I was thinking, ooh, Disney's pretty litigious. I hope they don't see this. Litigious. Don't see this. But there's another festival we're known for in PodCastro Valley. We have the Fall Festival, and it's hard to believe that, wow, in just a couple weeks, fall will be over and we'll be into winter. But the year was 1972. Nixon visited China. And here, this week, actually, China visited our president.
This is Mike's podcast picnic.
It was also the first year a band of dedicated Castro Valley business owners joined together as the Chamber of Commerce to host their first ever fall festival. It was first held at the Castro Village Shopping Center. I guess we don't really have a downtown. We have that shopping center is what we have, which is cute, funky buildings. There's a similar looking place I noticed in Lafayette, here in the Bay Area, and then further up north in Santa Rosa. I wonder if it was the same architect that built these shopping centers. They're outdoor. It's outdoor, a bunch of outdoor shops, but it's got a cute layout. Not strip mall-y. It doesn't have that strip mall feel.
You know, there's a real scary holiday coming up.
So it was a showcase for Castro Valley businesses and artisans while showing off Castro Valley as the heart of good living. Hayward known as the heart of the Bay. The event offered attendees a wine tasting. This is in 72, a fashion show, an art exhibit. Oh, by the way, this is a thing in the Bay Area. If you live on the peninsula and someone mentions Castro Valley, you have to make the dumbest joke in the world, and that is, does Fidel Castro live there? No, Fidel Castro is dead. He doesn't live there. He lived in Cuba. And someone told me the other day he played baseball and started his own league in Cuba. That's why Cuba's big on baseball. I don't know. I do know they have old cars there because they can't import any cars. So everybody just keeps working on their cars to keep them going, which is proof that shows you that we send all these cars to the dump every year as we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in PodCastro Valley.
Anyway.
Where there's no such thing as Fidel PodCastro. And cars can basically, the last place on earth, live forever if you just swap out the parts. So the event offered attendees a wine tasting, fashion show, art exhibit, and the success of that first year prompted a second event in 73, which then they named it the Fall Festival.
MTV News. You hear it first.
Mike is on it, man.
Go where no man has gone before.
We love it, Mike.
In 1973, the event included a raffle for a 25-inch Magnavox color television. Ooh.
Woo!
That must have been spiffy. And they created a treasure map within a brochure where visitors could discover the hidden treasures in Castro Valley and the little shops filled with golden values.
The Royal Trump Tweet Decree. Holding court with Lady Katie. Lady Katie. Flying saucer.
That's how old that festival is. I wasn't around the Bay Area for that particular opening. And I mentioned in the last podcast this interesting local writer named Mitch Rothbart, and he works for a fitness place, and he was talking about don't use the word, or you should use the word get. Not like I have to work out, but you get to work out. Well, he also had an article that my lovely lady friend took umbrage about, and it was Stop Stretching was the name of it. If you haven't read my first article, he says, I encourage you to go back and do that. Don't worry, I'll wait here. Well, being that this newspaper that I'm holding in my hand is from September 6th, and I don't even know how I held on to this paper this long, but that ain't going to happen. I do not have the one from August 27th or whatever it was. That article was about why you need to rethink stretching in lieu of working on your mobility and strength. If you don't have access to it, drop me an email. Exercise your shoulders.
Bands mutations. Mutations.
Magnification.
Do it instead of low back stretches. So he's saying don't stretch, but use exercise instead. So don't you do the low back stretches, because low back pain and tightness tend to be the result of poor movement in your shoulders and or hips, resulting in too much movement in the low back and not enough in the hips and or shoulders. Reverse presses teach you how to correctly move your shoulder blades. So you lie on the floor with your knees bent and then take a deep breath and be sure you have no tension in your neck or shoulders. This is very difficult too.
Fabagoo, things to do. Things to do.
And then I'm trying to tell you over a podcast. And remember what I told you you're not supposed to read? When you're on doing a podcast, don't read what you're saying on the podcast. It's not good. So basically, he's also saying instead of doing like hamstring stretches,
you will travel into the incredible universe.
Don't do that. It says tight hamstrings tend to be the result of poor hip position and glute function, not inherently tight hamstrings. Hamstring stretches can exacerbate those positions. Now, all of this, and he goes on and on about that. And I'm obviously not reading it to you because I just crumpled it up. But my lovely lady friend is into yoga, and she took a yoga class on how to be a yoga instructor. And yoga, if you didn't know, is all about stretching and other things. But, you know, staying calm, breathing, focusing on your breathing, which I think he was saying a little bit in there as well.
Kathy's Corner.
Kathy's Corner.
Oh, somebody that I saw, speaking of PodCastro Valley, because that's, I guess, what we've been doing a lot of in this show today. And the event that I went to, that other event that coincides with Fall Fest, in the November, then they do this PodCastro Valley Lights Parade. In the parade was our new California State Assembly member, Liz Ortega. And she sent me something. She may have sent other people the same thing, but it says, "Dear neighbor, as the 2023 legislative session draws to a close, much work has been done to address the issues that matter to the community!" Hundreds of bills that support working families were passed through the legislature and signed into law by the governor. In addition, millions of state dollars were allocated to address housing and homelessness, provide for public safety, and support working families. More than 100 community events were attended, and district staff addressed the needs and inquiries of hundreds of constituents. And then she talks about like clean water,
cassette, copy,
transit, public and community health, public safety, public this, public that, housing and homelessness. Over $56 million was given to the communities in Alameda County, including
Welsh on the world.
When you are a man, sometimes you wear stretchy pants.
$25.5 million for homelessness prevention and assistance. Okay, I don't know exactly what that is. It doesn't go into that here. But as I'm tearing it up, I find that fascinating. In California, I find it fascinating how much money we pay in taxes and then what that money goes to. And I guess if I was into politics, I would be able to find out more about what is all involved. But to be a politician, as you well know, you got to be able to lie. How do you know politicians lying? Their lips are moving, that sort of thing. And it has to be all about ego, because that's what drives you and it forces you to get your name out, because you have this need for attention and for people to see you, and you want the power and the accolades and all the people following you. But then there's hard work involved. Oh, you know what you do? You just hire a staff to do that. That to me seems to be the typical animal that is a politician. I know that's skeptical. That's critical, that's very cynical, but it seems like that would be that's a conversation I had with somebody at work about that, because we were laughing about politicians in general.
Addenda with Kevin.
I'm outside a cafe anyway somewhere in PodCastro Valley. Look who's here. Present company is not included in this whole ego narcissist thing that I'm describing politicians with. Madame Rootabega. Thank you, Michael Masters, Madame Rootabega. And yes, I don't do all of that ego thing. Ooh. Excellent. And do you like to read the little things that, what I found interesting about that was sent to me today, that piece of political mail, is that it wasn't a ad to tell me to vote for somebody. So do you like junk mail? Yes. Do you like to go out and vote for the people you like? Yes. Do you like Fall Fest? No. What? You don't like Fall Fest?
People get stuck on stupid.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Why is that, Madame Rootabega? Because of all of the people that keep falling down, I feel bad for them. Oh, well, it's not that kind of a Fall Fest, but I see where you would get confused. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, I could be a politician because I can lie to the peoples. And I have this attitude that I have a need for power. There.
Yeah, power. Do you know that? Who would be your staff? Who would, help you out and do all the things you needed them to do because you're busy stroking your ego?
Well, I'd probably use this guy here. There.
Yeah, me. Bison Bentley. Do you know that? Wonderful. All right. Next year on your ballot will be Valentino. And Bison Bentley, they are going to raise the rates, PG&E. That's what California wants to do. I heard this news story today. I don't know. I heard it on Cap News.
Got through that. I got into it.
That podcast from the public radio station in Sacramento. And it troubles me because they want to bury power lines, to avoid the fires. But there is more, and I think we need to spread the news and do more research on it. But it seems like we need to think of this other alternative, which is covering the electric wires with this coating, with this seal, with this shell that can withstand fires and makes it much more safe and is less destructive to the environment with digging up all this earth and burying it. And it's going to cost so much money to dig up and bury. And that's why they want to raise more than $30 your PG&E bill if you live in California. And I heard that and said, yeah, no, I'm definitely with the sealing, putting a shell around the wires that exist already and not burying them. Anyway, Café Anyway, if you have an opinion about it, if you have a little more insight, you can give me a call.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
And with more ways to reach me, it's A-Frame. By the way, I'm going to be not doing a podcast for the next couple of days, possibly. We'll see if I can get to one. But I got lots of things happening around my birthday because my birthday is coming. I love my birthday, even though I'm going to be able to purchase all kinds of things I didn't used to because I'm entering the world of being a senior, the very early end of that. So, yeah, but believe me, the benefits include getting like a discount at Chili's. Ooh, look at me, big time. So anyway, I'm going to be entering that interesting birthday that's on its way. So yes, looking forward to that. But we're going to celebrate my birthday the weekend before because then I'm still young. I haven't completely, fully embraced the new age I'm going to be. And we can do some fun things, and we got lots of plans. And Rocky the cat's going to be involved, and my lovely lady friend. I'm looking forward to it. Maybe even Patches the cat will be involved if he decides to show up because he's the feral cat that comes by when he feels like it. But of course, I will have stories from all of that and podcast pictures from all of that. And to find out where you can see the podcast picture, here's A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!